everybody, and welcome to my class. As I said last week, this week we could study via the video clip, and from next week we are going to come back to the face-to-face class. Yeah, the topic of today's class, we focus on business ethics. This is a topic for students of all majors. Then whether you are in BA, BT, you are in electrical engineering, construction engineering, or any majors, you still have to study this. You need this in the workplace in the future. So in this chapter, we'll focus today, we just focus on first part. We build the background. Yeah, we are going to learn some vocabulary, and also we get more knowledge about ethics in the workplace. And also we're going to focus on some listening techniques, the techniques in order to get the information for your notes. Yeah. How you're going to get the ideas, how you're going to get the information down to your notes. Now, to begin with, I just provide you with this short video clip. I need you to watch, and then you are going to tell me what you have heard in the recording, in the video, and also tell me how you feel about this guy. Now, let's begin.
This is Kevin.
Hello, Kevin.
Riley. To what do I owe this pleasure?
It has come to my attention that you've been using your company credit card for non-business related items.
Really? Like what?
Well, first of all, I see that you went on an expensive golfing trip.
Okay, see, but that is business related because I went with a potential client.
You went with your brother.
Is he a client of ours?
No.
Then he's a potential client.
Okay, Kevin. Well, how exactly is an Xbox 360 work related?
Well, I play it at work, so...
Okay, you know what, now that is just a complete disregard for company policy.
You know what, Riley, let me stop you right there. Because I am looking at the corporate credit card report on the computer right now, and you're not doing so hot either, by the looks of it.
Really? Okay, well, this better not be another one of your practical jokes.
No. If I were you, I would definitely go check it right now.
Alright, well, we'll see about that, because I don't know.
Okay, so you want to watch it for the second time? Now the second time, and then, you just tell me.
This is Kevin.
Hello, Kevin.
Riley. To what do I owe this pleasure?
It has come to my attention that you've been using your company credit card for non-business related items.
Really? Like what?
Well, first of all, I see that you went on an expensive golfing trip.
Okay, see, but that is business related because I went with a potential client.
You went with your brother.
Is he a client of ours?
No.
Then he's a potential client.
Okay, Kevin. Well, how exactly is an Xbox 360 work related?
Well, I play it at work, so...
Okay, you know what, now that is just a complete disregard for company policy.
You know what, Riley, let me stop you right there. Because I am looking at the corporate credit card report on the computer right now, and you're not doing so hot either, by the looks of it.
Really? Okay, well, this better not be another one of your practical jokes.
No. If I were you, I would definitely go check it right now.
Alright, well, we'll see about that, because I don't know.
Okay, what do you think about this guy? Does he have good ethics in the workplace? Yeah, I guess you all have the answers, right? What has he done? Yeah, the man on the phone. Yeah, so just called him and told him that. Yeah, so he was using the company credit cards for non-related items. And this guy didn't seem to be very happy. He didn't show very good attitude. And the man on the phone continued. Yeah, it was something like, he spends lots of money on the golfing trip. Yeah, the trip to play golf. Yeah, for rich people, And then this guy, he explained, he says, that's business related because he went with a potential client. Then you can see using the company's money for, your personal interest. And you just charge on the company's money, not your money. So this guy just give an excuse. It was with a business, a potential client. And the man on the phone continued, why it exceeded to just 60 business related items like that. Then you can see today we may have this in reality in a few companies, right? And a few people are still continuing. They use the company's money for their own benefits. For example, you use, I say here, the company's money in order to pay for, I say, the taxi fees, the hotel fees, transportation, and even to have parties as well. Then you can, this video just reminds you of the activities, of the things that are happening around us, and whether they are good activities or not acceptable activities. Okay, so now we are going to have a look at this. So we have 4 questions. You can spend some time thinking about these 4 questions. You can pause the video for about 10 minutes. Focus on question number 1. What qualities are needed to become a good business person? Think of the qualities and why you say so. For example, honesty, creativity, qualities, high sense of responsibility, being clever, a few things like that. And question number 2, you can see, when you go to work, you all want to make your boss happy, and you all try to bring more money to the company. And the question is what you should do to bring more money to the company. Now there's question number 3. Do you agree with the opinion that the real amount of money you bring to the company is more important than how you do it? You just focus on the result, the real amount of money. And then number 4, we get to the definition of business ethics. What business ethics means. And you can think about some of the examples of unethical behaviors. When you can answer all of these questions, just move on. Now let's go to a piece of reading. It is about corporate crime on the rise. This is a very important event that awoke people's attention on the ideas of business ethics, on the idea of the responsibility of business leaders. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes. Okay, 4 minutes to read this passage. Okay, time is up. Now, so let's move on to, I hope you all have finished reading the passage. That's not very long, is it right? For you have up to 4 minutes. Okay, now so let's move on to the questions. We have 3 questions here. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. You can look back at the passage and you try to answer the 3 questions. You now have 5 minutes. Okay? Now 5 minutes to go. Okay, time's up. I hope you all have the answers. Okay, now let's check it out. So question number 1, what caused the collapse of Anglo? Could be the reasons. Have you got that? Yeah. Then you can see, yeah. So, executives, made bad investments. They borrowed millions of dollars. Yeah, you can see millions, more than a million, millions of dollars to cover losses. Yeah. The company lost the money and they just, borrowed money from the bank in order to cover the losses. Then the investors, other people didn't know that, they were losing the money. They were having problems with the finance. The accountants hid the losses. And they exaggerated the profits. They told people they earned more than they really did. At the same time, the CEOs received very, very high salaries. Now, question number 2, then what type of fraud did Bernie Madoff commit? And you can see he ran a Ponzi scheme. That's a type of fraud in which investors are paid from their own money and buy money from the investors instead of from actual earnings. And it's like they borrow money from this bank. They get the money from this investor in order to pay as a profit to another investor, and borrow from another to pay another. It is like for some people, they are still paying well, but in fact, they are borrowing money. The money doesn't actually come from the profits. Now, number 3, then why did bankers give home loans to unqualified borrowers? Unqualified, it means the banks. They know that these borrowers, these people may not have the ability to pay back. In fact, the bankers, they were paid bonuses for signing the loans. Where they could persuade people to just sign the loans. They got some bonus already, and they just wanted to get the bonus. However, this could bring harms to the company, to the banks, right? So the results, the borrowers unable to pay the loans. They are too poor. How could they pay back? And the banks got a mortgage. The mortgage here, it can be something like the building, the facility. That's everything the bank can get in order to get the money back. Okay, now let's have a look at these new words, the words we have from the reading. Let's check it out. So you can have 4 minutes to just match the words on the left and the definition on the right. When you have finished, let's check. So fraud, the answer F. The act of tricking or deceiving someone, usually to get the money. Fraud. Shareholder, a person who owns the stock in the company. A company may have many shares, and a person may hold some percentage of shares. Now, number 3, scandal. That's G. A shocking action, situation, or behavior. Scandal. You can see we often have this word scandal for famous people, for celebrities. Now think about you yourself. Do you want to be famous overnight? Just make up a scandal that everybody pays attention to. You could just become very famous. Now, bankrupt, number 4. That's B. When you go bankrupt, you don't have enough money to pay your debts. Executive, that's C. A person with a high position in the the business in a company. Yeah. So you have CEO, remember? That's Chief Executive Officer. Yeah. Now accountability is D. Expectation that you will be responsible for your actions. Yeah, and then you can say accountability, responsibility, reliability. It can be very similar. And number 7, corruption. That's E. Dishonest or illegal behavior. Yeah. So in the passage, we also have, the word white collar crime. Yeah. 4 executives went to prison for white collar crime. So white collar here refers to the meaning of the word business related. Yeah. Now let's go to the skill for this session. We focus on the transitions in order to get the information. Then last week, we focus on the transitions in order to get the main idea, the topic, and the main idea. Right? Okay. Now this time, we focus on the transitions. It means the transitions. They tell you when the presenter, when the speaker begins to tell you the first main idea or the second main idea, or when he moves on to a new idea. Okay? Yeah. So the professor, signals you all the time when he introduces or changes the topic or ideas. Then you can see this is a signal for you to know that, okay, this is a new idea, this is an important idea, this is an important point, that is important to note down, to write down. You can see in writing, we also have this, like first of all, in speaking, we say next. When you focus on the new point, right? Yeah. Now let's move on to some common transitions to change the lecture topic. When you hear something like "let me start with," or "let's start by," that's a new idea. Or he can say, "First, we're going to look at something. Now let's talk about something." Yeah. Now moving on to the second point, he can say, "Okay, let's move on to next. I'd like to discuss." Or let's take a look at something. Or now I would like to discuss something. Or maybe he can say, "Now that we have talked about, now let's move on to, let's go on to." Then you can see these signals tell you that, okay, here comes the important point, here comes the new idea. Then just note that. Just pay more attention. Or sometimes the signals can be very simple, like this, like first of all, next. The second thing is, another thing is that. Yeah, finally, one more thing we'd like to tell you is that. Sometimes, the speaker just gives you something like a question, a rhetorical question. Yeah, it's a question, and the main purpose is not to get the answer. Yeah, but to tell you what the speaker is focusing on. When he says, "How can we explain this?" then you see that the next part can be the reasons, the explanations, right? Yeah. Or he says, "What does all of this mean?" Let's have a look at some of the explanations. Okay, so now we are going to recognize the transitions we have learned. I need you to read this passage and try to underline the lecture language that signals a transition. What topic you can hear, what new ideas you can see. Don't spend time reading and thinking, just read and underline and selecting the information. 2 minutes, okay? Finished? Now let's check it out. Do you see the topic? Yeah, you can see I'd like to discuss. Yeah, the signal, remember? So I'd like to discuss a US law that was passed to have prevented. This is long, but the next is important. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act. That's the topic. What about the aim, the purpose of this talk? The aim of this talk was to what? Improve accountability of corporations. And it means there's another aim, right? And to prevent future cases of accounting fraud. Very clear, right? Yeah. Now let's take a look at some of its requirements. Main point number 1 is about the requirements. Requirements, it means there are a few requirements, not just one requirement. Then you can see the first signal. First of all, so the first requirement is it requires companies to establish independent audit committees. Yeah, so they are independent accountants. Then we just focus on establishing independent audit committees. Yeah. And then it means the second one, prohibits making loans to executives. Prohibits companies from making loans to their executives. That's long, right? We just write a very key idea. Prohibits making loans to executives. What else? We have, in addition, it means the next one. It holds top executives responsible for their mistakes or false statements. So hold top executives responsible. Finally, one more, it protects the whistleblowers. Who are the whistleblowers? You can see the explanation. The employees who report fraud within the company. So first you can see there are many requirements, right? And then what has been the effect of this act? Then main point number 2 is the effects. What could be the effects? You can see, well, companies they complain that regulations in Sarbanes-Oxley are too expensive to implement. So you can see expensive to implement, and therefore it hurts the business. The company has to pay lots of money on this. However, they feel that it is necessary to prevent and punishing white-collar crime. It is necessary to do so. Although it's expensive, it's necessary to do. Some people argue that even more actions need to be taken. It means we need to have more actions. Yeah, then you can see if you just focus on the signals, it can be quite easy for you to see when the new ideas come. When the person moves on to the new topic or the new idea, then you know that it's important to write down, right? Okay, and you are not going to just miss important information, important ideas. Now we are going to move on to a short lecture, and you can see we have 3 statements. It's about the ethical behavior of men and women executives in the workplace. You just decide true or false. So before you listen, you just use your common sense, use your own background knowledge to just take a guess whether it's true or false. Corporations with both men and women on the workplace, on the board of directors, set the same ethical standards as corporations led by men. Think of a company and in the board of directors they are males only, and another company in the board of directors with male and females. Yeah. So do they set similar ethical standards? Think about that. number two, the women commit more crimes that involve stealing from their employers. And I guess the ladies would say false, right? Now, women tend to steal larger amounts of money over longer periods of time. I guess the ladies also say false. Now let's have we are going to listen to the recording and you will just check true or false. Okay? Now let's listen.
Chapter 2, Practice Lecture.
All right. Today, I'd like to continue our discussion of ethics in the workplace. First, we're going to look at the behavior of men and women in the workplace. One common belief is that women are more ethical than men. Some say that women are more honest and caring by nature, and so they're less likely to commit corporate crimes than men. But is this really so? Let's take a look at some statistics. A Canadian study showed that corporations with 3 or more women on the board of directors were much more likely to have ethics guidelines than companies led only by men. And these companies were also more likely to verify their company's financial statements. So, it seems that companies that are led by both men and women set higher ethical standards. Next, let's look at some statistics involving corporate crimes. A study done in the U.S. showed that in 2002, women actually committed slightly more crimes that involved stealing from their companies than men did. 5,917 for women compared to 5,898 for men. Between 1993 and 2002, the number of these cases involving women increased by 80.5%. That's quite a bit. So, it seems that as more women have entered the workplace, more women have also started to commit corporate crimes. Okay, so what does all of this mean? Are women just as corrupt as men? Maybe not. If we look at all corporate fraud and crimes, men actually commit more crimes than women. They commit 75% of all crimes in the workplace. And men steal larger amounts of money. Men steal a median amount of $185,000 compared with $48,000 for women. So women tend to steal smaller amounts, but they tend to steal over longer periods of time. Okay, now let's move on to some specific cases of corporate corruption involving women. One famous example is Martha Stewart, but there are many other examples of female executives responsible for corporate crimes.
Okay, so do you need a second time? Yeah, let's listen for the second part, and then we are going to listen.
Chapter 2, Practice Lecture.
All right. Today, I'd like to continue our discussion of ethics in the workplace. First, we're going to look at the behavior of men and women in the workplace. One common belief is that women are more ethical than men. Some say that women are more honest and caring by nature, and so they're less likely to commit corporate crimes than men. But is this really so? Let's take a look at some statistics. A Canadian study showed that corporations with 3 or more women on the board of directors were much more likely to have ethics guidelines than companies led only by men. And these companies were also more likely to verify their company's financial statements. So, it seems that companies that are led by both men and women set higher ethical standards. Next, Let's look at some statistics involving corporate crimes. A study done in the U.S. showed that in 2002, women actually committed slightly more crimes that involved stealing from their companies than men did. 5,917 for women compared to 5,898 for men. Between 1993 and 2002, the number of these cases involving women increased by 80.5%. That's quite a bit. So, it seems that as more women have entered the workplace, more women have also started to commit corporate crimes. Okay, so what does all of this mean? Are women just as corrupt as men? Maybe not. If we look at all corporate fraud and crimes, men actually commit more crimes than women. They commit 75% of all crimes in the workplace. And men steal larger amounts of money. Men steal a median amount of $185,000 compared with $48,000 for women. So women tend to steal smaller amounts, but they tend to steal over longer periods of time. Okay, now let's move on to some specific cases of corporate corruption involving women. One famous example is Martha Stewart, but there are many other examples of female executives responsible for corporate crimes.
Okay, now let's get the ideas. Let's get the answers together. Number one, what do you think? Corporations with both men and women on the board of directors set the same ethical standards as corporations led only by men. Yeah, if we just look at the details, then you can see a Canadian study showed that corporations with 3 or more women on the board of directors were much more likely to have ethics guidelines than companies led only by men. So it seems that companies that are led by both men and women have higher ethical standards. Maybe when the males are with the ladies, they tend to be better people. They tend to behave better. You can think about guys, the boys. When they are with their girlfriends, they tend to be more generous. They tend to be very kind. They are just willing to have people. Right? The number one, that's false. Now number two, women commit more crimes that involve stealing from their employers. The woman would say false, right? Have a look at this. According to a study in 2002, women actually committed slightly more crimes that involved stealing from the companies than men did. You can see here, so commit more crimes that involve stealing from the employers. We have the numbers here. 5,900 for women compared to just 5,800. The numbers are quite the same, right? Just slightly more than. But true, that's the answer. Now number three, the women tend to steal larger amounts of money. Over longer periods of time. In fact, the men steal larger amounts of money. So women tend to steal smaller amounts, and they tend to steal over longer periods of time. And the men, they didn't steal as often, but each time they stole, wow, it was a great sum of money. So they steal larger amounts of money. And number three, the answer is false. women tend to steal smaller amounts, not larger amounts, right? Okay, you can see in this listening, in this lecture, yeah, there are a lot of signals. Yeah, then we can just check here. For example, number one, the first signal is, first we're going to look at, and the new idea, you can see, if you're just listening in, you can see, look at the behavior of men and women in the workplace. And then you have, more explanation on this. Same thing for your note taking. When you hear the signal, first we're going to look at, you can see that, yeah, that's the important point, then note down. The next transition, let's take a look at, yeah, some statistics. Then in your mind, what are the statistics? What are they about? Get ready to take notes. The next one, let's look at some statistics involving corporate crimes. Again, numbers, figures, and it's about corporate crimes in business. Okay, so what does all of this mean? Are women as corrupted as men? Yeah, men actually commit more crimes than women in the workplace. And the last one, now let's move on to some specific cases of corporate corruption involving women. And you can see the next information would be the elaboration, the explanation, on some cases. Specific cases. It means not one, maybe two or three. And the speaker is going to elaborate. The speaker is going to give you much more information on each of the cases. I can see it's then I guess this is the end of the video for today. We're going to continue with the second part of the lesson next week. Then if you have time, just go to the Facebook group and you just listen again to the recording. You look at the scripts in order to get all of the detail, all of the small words. That's better for your listening. And if you have time, just go to YouTube and just watch more videos. I can see it's time, so thank you very much everybody for watching this, and goodbye for now.